All right, welcome back to your week ahead reading. So, I have already drawn the cards here, and as per usual, we have the beginning of the week, midweek, end week, and the overarching theme. So, it looks like this week we are going to be ruled a lot by our heart, our emotions, as well as our thoughts. So this week doesn't look super physical as far as passions go. It seems very emotional and very thoughtful for us this coming week. So beginning of the week here, we have the movement of cups. This is really the Knight of Cups, or emotions. It's a water suit, so it's really how we're feeling and what's going on here. And this movement is this quick action. All of the Knights are about quick action and a lot of movement and kind of fast acting a lot of times. So this movement of cups here kind of tells us that we are going to be ruled by our emotions and possibly making quick, rash decisions here based on our emotions at the beginning of the week. So this is going to be something to think about. You might be really emotional. You might feel like you're following your heart and want to be really quick to act. So that's what our movement of cups here. I'm also getting that I feel like we may be romanticizing things just a bit at the beginning of the week. So that's something to think about as well. It might look really good or feel like you're following your heart, but it is something to just stop and consider and think about before you make any rash decisions. Now, with that being said, because these are the faster moving cards, or those where we tend to act really quickly, by midweek we may be exhausted, we may be emotionally drained here, and the Four of Swords here really tells us that we just need to take a break, settle our mind. So the swords are all about the thoughts and the things that are going on in our head, and this card here really kind of tells us to take a break. So let me bring it a little closer here. So it's a napping cat there, and it just seems like after all of that emotion, all of that thought that's tied to our emotions, we may just be tired. So midweek, we might just need to stop and take a break. So that's kind of letting us know that here. Again, makes a lot of sense here, just because, again, we might be emotionally wrung out with kind of leading with our heart at the beginning of the week so quickly. Now, once we've actually taken that break here, we have the Spirit of Cups here, which is really like the King of Cups. And this is really owning your emotions, kind of coming into your own, having more wisdom tied to your emotions. So it really seems like that midweek break might have been exactly what we needed for us to be able to gather our thoughts and really get a grip on what our ideas might be, what actions we're wanting to take, and we're really able to determine if this is something that makes sense to us. You know, we're following our heart, but we also want to make sense of it. This here is the Spirit of Cups, or the King of Cups. So you've kind of mastered that emotion, that driving force that's causing you to act. So it's more mature here, if you want to think of it that way. You can even kind of think of this as this almost being the teenager here who, you know, is romanticizing things, leading with their emotions. And this is like the dad here, where, you know, he's not taking the emotion out of it. He still cares. He still wants to do what makes the most sense to him and lead with his heart, but he's also more discerning. He has that maturity. He's able to make sense of what he's feeling and really decide if that's going to be something that you should be going ahead, or, you know, maybe pulling back on the reins a little bit. So that's our week. The overarching theme here is the moon. So the moon is all about our intuition, our inner thoughts, and sometimes us being afraid almost, not really knowing what's in the path in front of us. And this is our overarching theme. This is a big idea here. So although you're leading with your emotions, you know, it's not necessarily emotions where it's just like the good ones. Sometimes our negative emotions might get the best of us, and maybe we're not quite sure how we want to handle some of those things, and sometimes that's going to give us a little bit of pause, or it might cause us to act irrationally. So just know, with the moon, there's always a path there that's illuminated. It might just take a little bit of extra time to really pause and wait and see what's on that path for us, and if we can move through it and use our intuition and really take some time to move through that path, we're going to end up in a good place here. But this might be something that's hanging over your head a little bit throughout the week. With being emotional, it might just be that you're also fearful. So you could be scared and kind of making some decisions based on fear there. So just know that, use your intuition, follow your heart. Like I said, a lot of this is very emotion and thought driven. So that's our overarching theme here. Now, what I did this week was something a little bit different. I always do beginning of the week, midweek, end of the week, and the overarching theme with our tarot cards. So I wanted to do the same thing with our actual oracle cards this week as well. So beginning of the week here, we have simplicity. I'm just going to overlay them here for the moment. Devotion, change, and I'll go ahead and hold these up as I go through them, and rescue for our overarching theme. Oh, let's move that down just a little bit so it's within frame here. Okay, so let's start at the beginning of the week, and I'm just going to go ahead and pull both of these cards up here so we can kind of see them together. So we already talked about how we have the movement of cups here. Now we have this simplicity card here. So this oracle card here is kind of reminding us to get back to the basics. Don't overcomplicate things. Don't over-romanticize things. Again, remember, this movement of cups here, this can be our tendency to romanticize things and to have all of these grand ideas of what we want to do, these things that we're following our heart with. And this simplicity card is reminding us to just get back to what is at our heart center. What are we really desiring? So rather than following our emotions with these giant ideas, what is the simplest form of what we want? What is it that is driving us? What's the underlying root? Keep it simple. And when you're moving forward with all of this emotion and all of this energy going forward, keep it simple. What is the simplest path? So one, that'll help us kind of not burn out so quickly, because again, these knights or these movement cards, they are really going to wring us out. They're fast moving. And like I said, that's why I said midweek, we'd probably need a little bit of a break. So keep it simple here. Beginning of the week, just get through it, keep it simple, keep it moving, don't overcomplicate it. All right. So midweek, we have our devotion card. So we are saying that we're going to be taking a pause here, or we should be, because again, we might be exhausted, and in order to act in our highest good and make the most progress, we're probably going to want to take a break, rest our mind here. Again, we might really feel like we need it anyway with the momentum of the beginning part of the week. So with that, we drew the devotion card here. Devotion is really thinking about, what do you love? What is it that you're trying to accomplish? Are you really dedicated to your craft? Are you trying to build something new? While you're resting, it's important to consider this, to think about what it is that you're wanting. We have the dancers here because, as you probably know, when you have these ballet dancers, it requires this devotion, this discipline to your art, to your craft, to really be able to be good at it. And there's probably not a whole lot of other things that you can be doing when you're really trying to focus on this love of dance and your art, again, your craft. And so that's something to think about here. What are you wanting to put your energy toward? It's not the doing right now because you're taking that break, you're using your mind, but get back to your heart center. Get back to what it is that you love. Again, think about that simplicity card. What is it that you're really getting in touch with? What are you wanting to work toward? That devotion. Again, this devotion is almost like that emotional part of what you're tied to, what's at the heart center there, which makes a lot of sense because we have all of those cups energies, all of that emotional energy. So what are you devoted to? Midweek. Again, not doing, just kind of thinking about where you're going to want to be putting your energy. Not too much thought though, because again, swords are all about your mind. So you're still wanting to take a break and maybe just have some consideration about what you're wanting to be devoted to. Okay. Next, we have the change card. So you can see there's this snake here around this woman's neck. It's shedding. And let's go ahead and bring up our King of Cups here. So remember, this is that wisdom, that emotional wisdom, having this maturity to be able to lead with your heart, but also not taking thought completely out of it, not making those rash decisions, being able to discern. So this transformation here, for some of you, I feel like this might be a transformative week where it's growing into this might be a huge change for you. It might be a huge shift. And this, again, this is a reading for the collective. It's a general reading. So this might mean something or feel something a little bit different week's end for you. But just with tying in the card here, this is that time where it's like, okay, you have this king here who is really guiding you to make good decisions, following your heart. So does that require a change? Are you going to be shifting something different? Are you going to be doing something that you hadn't done before? Or are you simply shedding some of these old bad habits, the rash thinking, kind of what you had thought about prior, keeping it simple? What are you truly devoted to? Is this a shift in something that you were devoted to prior, and now you're realizing, okay, that's not really what I want? By midweek, you're really ready for a change and ready to work towards something different. So again, you have the wisdom and the control over your emotions to be able to do that. So again, that's your end of the week there. And then finally, your overarching theme that I kind of tied in to the moon here is this rescue card. So you can see this girl is reaching up out of the water, looking for that help. So with all of these things that you've thought about throughout the week, are you in need of some help? This moon card, again, sometimes it feels scary. We're not be able to see the path in front of us so clearly. So are you needing that rescue? And it's not always easy to see, especially with this moon card here. The help we need or what we're really needing is not always well illuminated. Again, think about what the world looks like in moonlight versus the sun. You're going to have to look a little bit harder. You're going to have to trust yourself a little bit more and think about, what do you really need help with? The help will be there, but what is it that you actually need? You're going to need to think about that and maybe sit down, maybe meditate a little bit on it, because it's not going to be so clear, but the help is going to be there. And because you have all of these emotions flying through the week, we're attempting to keep it simple. We're trying to figure out what we're actually devoted to. Maybe we're needing to make some changes. And, we have that emotional action here. Then we need that break. So maybe during this rest time, we're thinking about, okay, well, what do we need help with? Are we needing to rescue ourselves? Are we needing somebody else to come out there for us? And then that change, when we go through that change, do we need some help maneuvering through that? It's okay. We can put our emotional egos aside and accept that help and really be able to discern what we can do on our own and what we probably need a little bit of help with. So that is our week here. Again, let's see if I can get everything into frame for you guys. These other cards are a little bit larger. But again, we're keeping it simple while making those movements toward what we really love and figuring out what our devotion is, what do we desire, what are we willing to work toward, but kind of taking that break, easing our mind, not putting so much thought into it and not stressing over it. Really just think about what's at your heart center. Don't stress about this. This is the time for the rest, midweek. End of the week here, we're bringing it all together. We're feeling like we have a better grip on our emotions, what we're going to be doing going forward, and that might be a big change for some of us. This might be something different than we're normally used to doing, but the help will be there should we need it, even if it doesn't seem like it's super clear to us right now. All right, everybody, that is your week ahead reading. I hope you enjoyed it. If you have any questions, of course, feel free to DM me. You can share this video with your friends if you feel so inclined, if you feel like it would resonate with them, or just something you want them to start watching going forward. I always appreciate the support, but I hope you have a wonderful week, and I will talk to you soon.